This is Mike and C, and this is another episode of You Can't Handle the Truth.
All right.
What's on our slate for today?
Well, I mean, apparently the governor thinks that we have a frivolous litigation problem.
Yes, they do. A lot of people think that, right?
A lot of people think that. What do you think about that, Mike?
I think there are some cases that are frivolous. I don't know if people understand what that definition is, but some cases may fall into that. But I think a lot of cases are not. I don't even think that. I believe that. I mean, I know that the cases that I'm handling are not frivolous. Of course, it's easy to say that. I mean, of course, somebody's going to say their cases aren't frivolous. But I think that there's going to be an issue with limiting people's access to the courthouse and limiting their access to damages.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think using a term like that, frivolous, is a little misleading,
Right.
Essentially, because frivolous lawsuits get put in their own unit and they get detected very quickly and they get basically dismissed out. Like, if it's frivolous, then an insurance company doesn't have to pay on it.
Right.
So is it frivolous, or is it that we're just not letting insurance companies take advantage of us?
I think a lot of it is just people don't like it. And especially nowadays, if
Big
someone,
insurance doesn't like it.
right, if someone doesn't like something, it becomes frivolous. It's the ability to look at things objectively is hampered. And I think it's always been the case. It's just now we know about it more because social media provides outlets for people that used to sit in their rocking chairs and have opinions that you never heard. And now you hear it all over the place. And it's like, it's more of, hey, I don't like this, so it's frivolous. And with lawyers, it's like, until you need us, maybe you don't like us anyway, right? But we're a necessary evil, I think.
Definitely that. And honestly, I mean, plaintiffs' attorneys, we get a little bit of a bad rap, but ultimately we're a lot of it. But ultimately, we are the people's attorney. Like,
Right.
You need something to fight somebody who is Goliath and you are David. We are there. That's when we step in. That's when we're there to help. We're there to balance the scales that way. So, but what's happened now is there's this rhetoric that I think big insurance has dictated, that there's all this frivolous litigation, and that's why our property insurance is going up, and that's why our auto insurance is going up. And so in order for us to combat that, what they have done is they've gone and big insurance has drafted themselves a bill, and they put it, and they've gotten Republican legislators to sponsor it. And essentially what they're saying is it gives transparency, it damages, it's fairness.
Transparency, right.
Transparent. Yeah, isn't that a funny word? And it's so funny that that's like, the point of their bill is transparency. Right. Because if we want to talk about transparency, why can't we say insurance when we're inside a courtroom?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that, is that you can't even say the word insurance when you're trying a case against, a person that's insured. It looks like you're suing someone for lots of money when what you're suing is a multi-billion-dollar company that didn't pay out on damages. Most cases they get to trial, almost every case is not frivolous, because if it got to trial and it was a frivolous case, it would have been thrown out, right? I mean, isn't that a fair statement? So frivolous, again, is a state of mind that people have, that they say, well, it's just something I don't like. I worked for an insurance company, absolutely hated it, needed the pat on the back, needed my ego stroked. I was getting, 0 verdicts for these people. They were spending thousands of dollars on us, and we got their cases thrown out of court in the sense that we got 0 verdicts. And it just wasn't, something I wanted to do. Here I'm giving people a check, I'm giving people money, and how this fits in with everything we're talking about is there are people that are entitled to damages, whether you like it or you don't. Some people don't like it until it's time for them to ask for damages. And so this whole thing about raising rates, I mean, insurance companies can raise rates for any reason under the sun. I changed zip codes one time and my rates were raised. So, it's just a matter of, I don't like this, so we're going to villainize it. We're going to get enough people to believe it, and then we're going to pass it.
So I think what you just said.
That's the reality.
Yeah, I
right?
think what you said is really important. And the insurance industry has villainized us as plaintiffs' attorneys, has villainized what we do, and they've created this rhetoric that it's bad. We're the bad actors. What we do is bad. We're the reason that you have all these, hikes in insurance. And now we've got a bill to eliminate that. But really what it does is it eliminates your rights as a Floridian to sue an insurance company. Mm-hmm. And actually it's going to completely...
On all levels, not just car accidents where all these car accidents...
No, we're not even talking about car accidents.
Right. I want to make that clear. It's not just car accidents. It's first-party property damage claims. When you have a dishwasher that, blows up. A dishwasher doesn't blow up, does it? Yeah, a hot water heater blows up and you got water all over the place and they're not going to pay for the damages. And then all of a sudden you can't get your fees that that you paid to an attorney to successfully prosecute the case against the carrier.
Yeah. So now what happens in Florida right now is that if you are an insured and you pay a premium for any type of insurance, that's health insurance, that's life insurance, property insurance has its own provision in a different bill, but same idea, same respect. If you are an insured and you pay a premium and your insurance company doesn't give you something that you're entitled to, you will no longer be able to pursue a claim and your attorney get fees in order to pursue that claim. So ultimately what happens and what they've suggested is, well, you can just charge a contingency fee or you can just pay them hourly.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a health insurance benefit that you need to get, that health insurance benefit might be worth $500.
Right.
What, we're going to take 33 1/3 of $500?
Right.
We're going to charge you $500 for you to get $500 benefit? It doesn't work that way.
Right. And
So it's really detrimental. It's a broad sweeping statute that covers everything. And the fact that they want to take it away and not make any specific provisions for it is extremely problematic. And to me, that's the most problematic one that every Floridian should be outraged about, because it's not that we're suing, and attorneys don't sue insurance companies. Attorneys don't sue insurance companies just to sue insurance companies. We're suing insurance companies because somebody's coming to us. They're saying, I'm entitled to this. I'm not getting it. And so we step in to help them get it.
right.
Because they usually try in a claims process to get it themselves, and it's something that they can't get.
Yeah, almost every time I have a client that calls me about something that, their insurance company's not paying on. Again, this is first-party insurance claim. Something happens at your house, for example. They've already tried. They've tried and they've tried and they've tried and they haven't been able to get it. I think, to shift gears, I think what's happening is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, looking at the bad side of the plaintiff's cases, you got a lot of billboards and you got class action cases where people hear about these cases where, there are thousands and thousands of claimants and then the attorneys make all the money. But the reality is that's not most of the cases. Most of the cases are just people that are living, like in Tampa, for instance, and they've never made a claim in their lives, and they have either sustained bodily injury because of someone's negligence, or, like I said, stuff happens at their house. And now what's happening is they're saying, well, if they eliminate attorney's fees as an element of damages, what they're essentially saying is that, you're going to have to pay for it yourself. And then if you win against us, even though we were wrong, you're not going to get your attorney's fees recouped. What's going to happen is, and people are thinking, well, that's going to screw the attorney. The attorneys are all about the money. Yeah, of course, it's a business. It's not going to screw us because we're just not going to take those cases anymore.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen. It's going to screw the claimants.
Yeah. The people, the Floridians, the citizens of Florida, the citizens of any state, that's what it's going to do. You're essentially going to have attorneys no longer taking these type of cases. So you're not going to have access to attorneys.
Right.
You're not going to have access to courts. You'll have to do it on your own, which, then let's talk about fairness. Another reason
Right.
they brought this bill. Oh, well, we want to promote fairness in this process.
Right.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about fairness between David and Goliath? Like
Right.
Goliath being the insurance company and us, every other person being David? Your attorney's included in the David category too. We're all David compared to Goliath, this $1 billion insurance industry. So
Yeah.
it's
Something to I'm sorry,
No.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Something to point out is that these big firms like Morgan & Morgan, for instance, they are the David as well.
Yes.
Don't you agree?
I 100%.
They are the David. Even the biggest firms in the world are still the David in this scenario.
We are all David.
Yeah.
Except unless you have Geico, Progressive, State Farm, Allstate, USAA,
Right.
and some others behind your name. So, $1 billion industry versus the little guy, and Morgan & Morgan's included in that. And
Right.
so the fact that they're pointing out billboard attorneys, I think having billboard attorneys helps level the playing field a little bit, because ultimately insurance companies advertise.
Right.
So why can't we?
Oh, you see the insurance information all the time, right? Geico, Progressive, they even have little animals. Yeah.
Any insurance like Chime, you're going to know exactly what insurance company they're talking about.
Right. So in this case, the lizard, for example, is going to get an advantage, and even more of an advantage that they already have. The Gecko or whatever it is, they're going to have an advantage even more so. And it's just interesting how insurance runs the world. And, take it from me, I worked for an insurance company. Just, it is what it is. I mean, am I slanted? Maybe. I think I just have life experience. It is what it is. I mean, is every case legit? No, you're never going to have a scenario where humans are fair across the board. It's just not going to happen. What's going to happen is you're going to have people, political factions that are going to pay more money to see better legislation to help themselves out. Bottom line is they don't care about the other side. And let's be honest.
Well, and then, I mean, when I talk about this and when I'm describing what's going on to people and when I'm trying to inform people, yes, I'm coming at it from the fact that I am an attorney and I practice in this specific industry, in this tort realm.
Of course.
So I understand it, I have a basic and good grasp understanding of it, and hopefully to be able to explain it to, people who aren't in this industry and don't understand this, this terminology. But I'm also coming as like a mother, a daughter, a sister, a wife. I would be affected by this too. If, for example, I'm driving down the road, I have no one in front of me, and my daughter's back there screaming and yelling, and I realize that because there's no one in front of me and because I have, there's nothing there to distract me or that I could potentially hit, I turn around for a second and this other car veers into my lane and hits me head on, I could have some sort of comparative associated with the incident.
Right.
If I'm telling the truth, because what happens after an accident, people get up and they tell exactly what happens. They don't think, that everything they're going to say is going to be used against them. So it's like, oh, I was just distracted for just a second. Well, right now in Florida, you could still be compensated for that other person's negligence. But if they change the law to that modified comparative,
right,
I won't be. So I'm coming at this perspective as I'm a citizen as well. And if anything that happens to me as a citizen of Florida, if these laws pass and if this tort reform bill goes through, then I will be affected, my family will be affected, and negatively. Our rights will be taken away. We won't be able to pursue claims, and we won't be able to be compensated like we should be.
And, spoiler alert, the premiums are probably still going to increase.
And they're, how big insurance is big insurance is behind this bill, because there is not one thing in those 20 pages of law and provisions about any type of restriction or what we get by giving them everything.
Right.
There's nothing that they're giving.
It's solely one-sided for the insurance companies. I'm a good example, and maybe it's a bad example, but I don't think it is, because workers' compensation, before I was practicing law in the 80s, workers' compensation was a haven for attorneys, right? That's what the big question was, and people would get hurt at work, and their exclusive remedy, and it still is the same, their exclusive remedy is you don't sue your employer, you go through a comp system. Well, the comp system was fair for a lot of claimants in the 80s, and unfortunately, you get bad seeds that you're always going to have this. So there's a way maybe to level it out, but to eliminate it, even fast forward to today, workers' compensation just sucks. It's terrible. And lawyers don't get involved in it because they have to make money, just like everybody else. It's funny how you have to make money. That's what we do here. Everybody wants to make money, right? But you can't. Workers' compensation is terrible now. And that's what's going to happen with everything else.
Yeah, Florida is the worst state to get injured in, and all the states of the U.S., because they had tort reform that basically eliminated attorney's fees in work comp cases. And now there's very few attorneys who actually take work comp cases.
Right.
All the laws are skewed in the companies and insurance favor, and you don't get any rights and barely any compensation for your injuries if you get hurt at work.
It's like the tug of war, and you're just adding someone else to the end of the rope. You're just adding more and more to that. So anyway, good discussion, right?
Yeah, lots to talk about, especially on the tort reform topic. It's something that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks, because it's going to last a couple weeks, and hopefully everything gets voted down in the end, or we can come up with a compromise to eliminate the bad actors, but make sure we, keep Floridians' rights and keep their access to attorneys in court.
It's okay to eliminate bad actors, but somehow we should be able to meet in the middle.
Yes.
Right?
Well, like, subscribe, comment. If you have questions about this specifically, don't hesitate to put in the comments so we can discuss.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.